talking video. We're calling it Poke Piece. It's Pokemon and One Piece thrown in together. So we mainly focus on One Piece and what the One Piece market is doing at the moment, trying to bridge the gap between Pokemon and One Piece, trying to let people know what's going on in this small channel of mine. So again, we're going to start off with OP-13. I want to preface this as the first thing that we're kind of keeping an eye on. The quantity sold is still skyrocketing. You can see in the graph that no matter how many listings there are, which there's going to be more listings, you know, it's more recent. People are going to put it up as the price increases. They want to cash out. But this is the prices here. We've got a couple of sales at 220. If I would sign in, we would see more, but there's more 240 sales there. That is typically where it's going to be sitting at because we have low lists at 240 to 250. So it's relatively in the same margin group as it was a few days ago, but we've seen a lot of movement here. So this is where it's going right now. People are figuring out that the cases are the play. The cases are what is going to hold a lot more value over time. Of course, same thing in Pokemon. The cases will do better if you have the capital. This is where you want to be at. We have 11 listings available, one with not a verified seller, but we have 3,400 at 2 there, then 35, and then we hit the 4s and 5s. So there's only a few cases available in that 3,500 range. You can kind of see that it is getting eaten up as soon as the listings are made and when people want to cash out. So I also want to preface a little bit, this is not just for a flipping channel. Like, I've been in One Piece for a long time. I've played One Piece, I've sold One Piece, raw, slabs, everything under the sun of One Piece. This is more so like, hey, this is happening to the market. Pokemon people are entering whether you like it or not. And people want to learn the One Piece market. I'm trying to help bridge that gap and have long-term investors, long-term people that are involved in One Piece. So no matter what I say, people are going to buy out, people are going to do whatever they want to do when it comes to what is hype and what is One Piece right now. I'm just trying to point a direction of what is a little bit safer, what is a better play, and what I think, in my opinion, is something worth investing in. So let's move on. Again, we have a case of a 5 here, and we now have sales above 6,000. Low lists are 8,000. And then you get to the crazy numbers of basically not going to sell. So what does that tell you? People are going back. People are going back and seeing 05 as the set with the OG. Why? Look at these sales again. 700 multiple sales on loose 05 booster boxes. They want to grab the 05 for themselves with barely any listings on the market for something this old, and you can see the volume is still very healthy. A lot of the listings are Japanese or other things, loose packs, etc. We want to see where the low list box are, and it is 775 and then bam, 800. These are going to be 800 in no time. Whether it holds 800 or not, we will see. But now people are realizing that the loose boxes were undervalued comparatively to the cases. And now the flip-flop happens to where the loose boxes rises enough to where, let's say 800, 8 times 10, 8,000, another 1,600 for the last 2, and you have 9,600. 9,600 for 12 loose boxes, or would you rather pay 6,500 for a sealed case, aka right here, 9,000. So you can kind of still get a little bit of value if you were to buy out a case and then sell them individually, but I still think that the long run 05 cases are a huge play. This brings me to the next point of what I wanted to talk about. We talked about 07 a little bit and how it compared to 13. Today I want to talk about PRB. So there's PRB-01 and PRB-02. PRB-01 is the OG yellow box that had God Pack mangas. Insane for the time when they released that. God Pack mangas is crazy, and it's the reprint mangas. They still do really well when it comes to One Piece. Doesn't matter if it's a reprint or not. Not on the same scale as like a base set Zard and then an Evolution Zard. The reprint mangas still hold a lot of value. There's some that still do around 1,000. And in that God pack, you also have the Nami manga, which you can pull by itself or in the God pack. Let's look at prices. Multiple sales here at $7.50 a box. 33 listings, a bunch of them are not relevant until you get to the second page, and then you see $7.40 to $7.50. So it will probably remain there for a bit, but people are realizing that PRB-01 is a short printed set. They did not really go back and do a huge waves with PRB. It was kind of a one and done situation. And that's why you can go here and you see cases. PRB also is one of the special sets. So if you didn't know, there's only 10 booster boxes for a case, making it 6,400-ish right there to sales and low list in the 7s. Now, why am I bringing up PRB today? It is comparatively almost the same price as 05. But this has 10 booster boxes. So the market is saying that PRB is more valuable than an 05 booster box right now. That means loose booster boxes will probably eclipse 05. Does it make sense? I don't know. What would you rather have? A chance at a God pack in mangas or a Nami manga, or the 05 chance at a signature Luffy or the OG Gear 5 Luffy? You pick your choice, but there are significantly less boxes available and printed from PRB compared to 05. Now, is it a play? I don't know. It's very high. It's $7.50. I don't know if it's actually going to be something that, you know, can reach $1,000 a box. If it does, it does. That's just where the market is telling you. But for me, I think the most bang for your buck is going to be here. Boom, PRB-02, the most recent PRB set that has been released. And prefacing what PRB stands for, Premium Booster the Best, it basically is reprints of other cards and has the ability of other cards but different artwork. Kind of cool in a sense, because now you have two artworks that or more that have the same abilities. So you don't have the same card over and over and the same art. These are $220-ish a box. 43 listings, not very many relevant ones until you get to the second page here and you see 220, 225. This is a relatively new set. It came a little bit before OP-13, and this has a Sanji manga. So you can see that 225, right? If we go back just a little bit and talk about 13 one more time, and you see the price of 220 to 230, this still makes 13 so undervalued. The EV on 13 is ridiculously high compared to PRB-02, but I think PRB-02 is being slept on because of 13. 13 is going to pass PRB very quickly, very quickly. It doesn't matter the time frame here, but it's just going to happen. But you can kind of see this graph down here. It is a shooting up. The volume isn't there. I think it's slept on. I think it's undervalued. Sanji is a good manga, plus a lot of the alt arts in PRB-02 are pretty good. And this is not just my opinion. We're going to go into the set and we're going to look from high to low. You have these SPs. You have the Gum Gum giant alt art. You have this Luffy alt as well, SP. Look at a lot of these. They're all over 100, and we're not even talking about the gold Dans yet. If you even go to Sanji's manga and you click here, you can kind of see that this thing raw is doing numbers, and it is not selling. It is not selling very, what's the word I'm looking for here? It is not selling every day. It's not selling at high quantities. Why is that? Because there's not that many listings here. We have a few listings in the TCG raw category of near mint, the lowest being 1850, and then we hit the 2000s. What does that tell you? No one wants to sell their Sanji manga, and when it does sell, it's selling super high. Now, this is the manga at 1800, 1700-ish, and we look at a case price, 2000, 2100, and then a couple a little bit under it. It's probably 2000, 2100 right now. Low list being 2500 now. Undervalued in boxes for sure. Once this reaches the 2500 mark, that's going to mark 25. Excuse me. It's going to mark 250 a loose booster box if you take the 10 and you divide the case out by 10 in loose booster boxes. But cases should have a premium. This is being slept on. This is where I think you're going to get some value if you've already filled out your value on 13. 13 is still what I'm trying to preach, what I'm trying to tell people. That is the set, okay? PRB-02 just is very slept on right now. I don't see a lot of movement, and people are sleeping on the Sanji, especially where the Sanji's prices are. Comparatively, let's look at PRB's reprint mangas, and a lot of them are going to be, let's just look at Nami real quick. Nami recently sold, you know, for 1500 there, and then 1200, 1300. You have Sanji doing more than Nami. You have Sanji doing, I'm pretty sure less than this. Yeah, less than this, but this is the reprint 05 Gear 5 Luffy manga, still doing crazy numbers. So that's why this box can give you this God pack and have crazy numbers. That's why PRB is insane. They did not put a God pack of mangas in 02, so I can understand why this hasn't really shot off, but I think it's undervalued at 200 a box when the manga itself is probably going to be 2000 soon, being 1800. This right here is where I really want to point out where people are not selling their cases. 2, 3, 4 cases of 13 under 4,000 available. This is going to be the play if you have the money. If you don't have the money, then go for a 13 box. Have it in your inventory. I understand that it is a newer set, but I'm telling you, it is worth holding on to. And this is the sleeper, I think, right now. This case and the box itself, if we just go back here and show the booster box one more time, being sold at 220 to 225 on loose booster boxes. This graph is going to get higher 100%. PRB is a good set, and most likely this is done being printed. If they follow the same pattern as before, then maybe you see a little bit of official Bandai shops having a little bit more PRB-02 in time, but as far as LCSs, as I'm aware, that is it for them on PRB-02, and they are gearing up for EB-04 and OP-14. This has only been 2 days since the last video, and you can kind of see this volatility and this movement that a lot of these boxes are having. We will jump into specific cards very soon, but this was one thing that I kind of wanted to point out and to see before the next video of when we talk in probably a couple of days of where this is going to end up, because there's not many listings, especially for cases, and that Sanji manga is still being slept on, in my opinion, being that high. That is a very high starting manga price, being up there maybe only a month or 2 months of PRB and being 1800 raw. So that wraps up today's video. I hope it brought a little bit of insight to your guys' adventure into One Piece. Thank you all for watching. Until the next one, peace.